Hi, this is Josh here at TechSpec, and in this tutorial, we're going to talk about settings in Google Calendar. So here we are in our Google Calendar, and if you figured out, Google has a few symbols that it uses for settings. Sometimes it's 3 bars, like over here. Sometimes it's 3 dots, like in Google Chrome. And sometimes it's the gear. Now the thing in Calendar is you have general settings, which you'll find here in settings, and then you have calendar specific settings, which you will find here under each calendar. But you can get to all of those settings through the gear. It just takes a few more steps. So let's take a look at a few settings, general settings in Google Calendar that you'll want to see, especially if you're new to Google Calendar or you've just switched over. So this is the settings menu, and you can see this is sort of like a table of contents. For example, if we wanted to look at scheduling settings, I could click on scheduling here, and you notice this flows up, and now we have scheduling. So this is kind of like a table of contents. If we want to, so there's a few settings that it would be advantageous for us to take a look at. So first off, we're going to go to event settings. Now, there's a couple of things here. Default setting is 60 minutes, but you can change it to any one of these. That's especially useful if you use the red plus on the main calendar. But I wanted to take a look at this. You may notice by default, this is set to yes, automatically add invitations. And what that means is when somebody invites you to something, you will automatically say yes to it. Now, we don't want to necessarily say yes to everything, but we might want all of our invitations on the screen. So I recommend you change this to yes, but don't send event notifications until I have responded yes or maybe. If you switch it to no, you're going to be by default saying no to everyone, and then, but also invitations that you've only received in your Gmail but haven't responded to won't appear on your calendar yet. And it's actually advantageous to have them appear on your calendar. So let's set this to yes, but don't send event notifications unless I have clicked yes or maybe. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here's my calendar, and you'll notice most of my calendar is green, but then there's this one. So there's this one in white, and this is for curriculum cancel. You'll notice I have said no to this. That's why it appears in a green outline and green text with strike through. So I've said no to that. These I've either said yes to or I have created this. But here's this event. It's in white, but there's no strike through, which means I haven't responded yet. Notice yes, no, and maybe are all gray. I haven't answered. So it appears on my calendar, which is useful if I have other things there. I can see what it conflicts with, but I haven't said yes or no, and the person who sent the invitation doesn't know. So let's watch what happens as we change through. If we say yes, it goes green, but I can come back here and say maybe and see what happens when I say maybe. The event goes all stripy like that. And that's a signal to me that I've said maybe. If I say no, it goes to the white with the strike through. And as you can see, I can always change my mind. So that's event notifications. I'm going to go through that again. That's the settings menu, or the gear rather. Go into settings, and that was in event settings. So we want to change this one, automatically edit invitations. Another thing we might want to look at here is mobile setup. If you would like to get calendar notifications that you have things coming up on your cell phone, then come down to mobile setup and put in your mobile phone number. Now, if you're already using your mobile phone number on another Google account, no worries. It will you are definitely allowed to use the same phone number for more than one Google account. Another one here is event or view option. So by default, it's showing weekends. You can turn that off and on. And then the custom view by default, I think, is 4 days, but you have a couple of options here where you can set that. So now let's look at calendar specific notifications. So this is my calendar. So I'm going to open up here and go to settings and sharing. Now, if I wanted to, from the general menu, I could just click down here to my personal one, and you see it has my name. If I wanted to change the name here, then I could put in a little description. On access permissions, so if you wanted to share it with the district, but not actively. So if by checking this, anyone who requests my calendar to see my calendar automatically sees it because I've turned this on, and what they will see is only if I'm free or busy. They won't see event details. I could change it to all event details, but I don't think that that's necessary. Next here, when we look at sharing with specific people, so here are the people that I've shared with, and you see that different people can have different levels of permission. So most of the time, you're probably going to give people see event details. If you give them see only free and busy, they won't see what it is that's on your calendar. They'll just see blocks of time blocked out. And then you can give somebody permission to make changes to your calendar or changes to event. That means they can add to your primary calendar. If you are clerical or you're working on and you need to manage your boss's calendar, you might need this. And then the higher level of permission is actually make changes and manage sharing, which would mean that I would let this person add things and change things in my calendar and also share my calendar with other people that they would have permission to do that. So that's access permissions and share with specific people. And then we have general notifications. So by default, new events, you can choose whether I get no notifications, email, or SMS. SMS is texting. So if I want text, I've got to turn that on. But remember, I had to set up mobile ahead of time. So these are all the different kinds of things that you could get notifications on. And these are the different ways that you can get those notifications. If we come up here, all day event notifications. So if you put in something in all day, and again, you can see that here, you can decide. So for example, if something's going to be, you just put it in as an all day event. I get a text message one day before at 9 o'clock, and I get a notification on the desktop one day before at 10 a.m. So it tells me the morning before. Now, if I click here to event notifications, now this will be the default. So right now, what I'm getting is a notification on the desktop 1 hour before. I'm getting a text message 15 minutes before. Now that's automatic to everything in my calendar, everything I've said yes to, etc. And you see my choices are notification, email, and a text. SMS is a text. Again, I had to set the text part up. If I wanted yet another one, let's say I want an email 2 days, then I can set that here. But you see, I can set notifications to go off weeks ahead of time, hours, or even minutes. So let's say that. And you see it's automatically saving these changes as I go. And I feel like those are most of what you're going to need here in the settings. So once we're done, we can just click the back arrow, and those are settings in Google Calendar. Hopefully that's giving you an idea of your overall general calendar settings and then the ones specific to each calendar. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email the Alice Hall EdTech department at edtech@alicehall.org, and happy Googling.